I am going to check YouTube and see if we are live. Yay, we're live!
Yay.
All right, welcome everyone to the August Stitch and Bitch. We're so glad to have you. I'm joined by two of our regular co-hosts. Rhea unfortunately can't make it today, but we miss them, and hopefully they will be joining us again for September. So let's just do a quick round robin and introduce ourselves. I will start. My name's Diana. My channel is Bookish Die, where I talk a lot about sci-fi, fantasy, nonfiction. And I have two kitties with me right now. So Luke is right here. Luke has seen the horrors. And then right over my shoulder, there we go. Leia's just chilling on the couch watching because she doesn't want to deal with being too perceived today.
And she doesn't want Luke to take her spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rachel, what about you?
Oh, me. Yeah, hi, I'm Rachel. My channel is Colonati. I'm on a hiatus from BookTube right now, but you can find me on Instagram as well at Colonati. And I talk about, well, fantasy and science fiction and nonfiction and a lot of crafting because I am obsessed.
And Kelsey, who's wearing a tiara today.
I am, because it's too hot out for a real hat.
That's fair. It was disgusting earlier this week.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm Kelsey. My channel is The Fancy Hat Lady Reads, both on YouTube and TikTok. And I am actually making content that I'm happy with. Yay.
Hey.
I read fantasy and science fiction almost exclusively.
Nice. Speaking of what we're reading, do you want to kick us off, Kelsey, and talk about what you've been reading?
Oh, man. So I was up most of the night last night. I looked absolutely tired. It's because I was up most of the night last night finishing Nona the Ninth. And I'm so confused.
I need to read that still.
I'm so confused. I was appreciating that we were actually getting some explanations in this book up until a certain point where it started getting more confusing again.
Oh no.
How long is this series? Is this the last
book? It's going to be a 4-book. Alecto is going to be the last book.
Which technically, we don't have a release date for Alecto yet. It was supposed to come out in October, but that's obviously not happening.
Obviously not happening. Wait, it was supposed to be October of this year? I thought it was next year, but oh.
It was originally October this year.
Well, clearly it's not happening until next year.
At least. It could be 2020.
They have all come out really quickly, so I'm not surprised if she's getting a little bit of a break.
Nona is, I guess, the book that was originally planned to be the first half of Alecto, but it turned into its own book. And I haven't yet given it a Goodreads rating because I have no clue. I don't know how to rate these books, any of them. The first 2 books were both 3 stars for me, but for wildly different reasons. And I don't know if those are the reasons I give for what I like about these books and what I don't are actually the reasons that I feel the way I do about them. Mostly I just they give me really weird dreams.
I feel like that's the mark of a good book.
But sometimes the dreams are too disturbing and I wish I wasn't having these dreams.
Do they involve a lot of skeletons?
So, like, the dream I had yesterday when I took a nap before finishing, like, the whole second half of the book
Stop.
was,
Not you.
and this
Luke.
is in no way spoilers for the book because this pertains in no way to the plot of what was actually happening in the story. This is just like vibe. I was part of like an epic sword fight battle in a movie theater, and I got like wounded with a sword, and there were shrimp inside my wound.
That's a little disturbing.
Yes, that's the thing. These books are always a little disturbing. So the first half of Nona feels very different from the second half when things like start picking up. And I'm not sure I like the sort of feel of Tamsin Muir's writing when things like pick up and plot starts happening like really fast. Like I don't know, and like necromancy is happening all over the place and it's not getting explained. And also there's a lot of sort of gruesome body parts. However, the first half of this book made me really more than the first 2/3 of this book made me really emotional. So I think this might be getting a 4-star rating from me. Are we actually live? Is anyone here? Oh, I'm not on the comments.
No, we're live.
We're live.
I checked.
I was on private chat instead of comments, so I hadn't seen that people were here, and I was like, "Is no one here?"
Oh no, there's some folks here.
Oh, and Ron are here. Anyways,
yeah, we have Joe is here. Well, didn't mean to. Joe's here, and then Ron is here. Hello.
Good. I'm not talking to no one though. So the first like big chunk of Nona the Ninth is this sort of very domestic found family thing that's happening with Nona and 3 of the characters we've met previously. And you get like no explanation for how these people got here, but like it's a situation where you as the reader know more than Nona does because Nona knows nothing. And I enjoy very much as a reader the things, the feeling that I get from knowing more than the characters when it gives me like context. And so you're in the dark, but Nona is more in the dark. And it's the first time in the series you actually see anything like normal life in this gonzo necromantic space empire. And, you know, it made me care in ways I hadn't cared before about this series. And I wish I had remembered some of the supporting characters better from like book 1, but whatever. And then things start picking up towards the end, and now I'm just deeply confused. That's probably enough about Nona the Ninth. I should try to figure out if I read anything else that I need to talk about. But I'm thinking that today, to cleanse the brain, I need to pick up Thornhedge because my pre-order arrived.
My pre-order arrived too.
Mine arrived yesterday.
This is the one exception that I'm allowing myself to make to my Everything is Hugo reading until voting closes, because I know I'm not going to finish everything I want to read for Hugo reading. Well, like the one exception I'm making is for pre-orders, and I think this is the only pre-order I've got that's going to arrive. So this is the one thing not on the list of Hugo reading that I'm going to permit myself to take a break for. And I need a break. Like, I need something to like cleanse my brain, and I don't know if this will be it or not. If it's not, then I have to read. I mean, I do have to read Legends and Lattes anyways, but I think that's like maybe the only thing that can like.
It's a really fun book. You'll really enjoy it.
Like, I know that the two of you have vastly different opinions.
Yeah, I know.
Regardless, it seems like it's going to be like the polar opposite of The Locked Tomb, which is what I need.
Yeah. So
something vastly different.
Yeah. Hello, Ramsey. Nice to have you. Hello, Megan. Also, I love that profile picture. That cat is very cute. Glad you could make it. And yeah, I'm also kind of hoping that it doesn't turn into a 5-book series, mostly because I would like to finish. Because I want more shorter series.
This is still The Locked Tomb?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I would read these books if they weren't nominated for Hugos. So like, will I even pick up the next book until it's nominated? This is why I'm part of why I'm so confused that I took so long between each of the books, because I only read them once they were nominated for Hugos. But yeah, I too am. I don't know that I would finish the series if it ended up being 6 books or however many. Yeah, 5 books. If it ended up being 5 books, I can't count. I was up all night reading Nona the Ninth. I'm tired. If it got another book before the end of the series, but I don't think there's another protagonist. Like, there's not another character to have a name book title.
Well, there's a 4th book to come out. Somebody might be introduced.
Well, Nona was the character we met in the epilogue of book 2, and the character we meet in the epilogue of book 3 is Alecto. And
it could just keep on going then. Every epilogue, there's a new character introduced, and that's
I understand. See, at this point, I now know who Alecto is, but I don't know what Alecto is. And I think, like, I don't know where she could possibly go from Alecto if Alecto is what I think she might be.
At this point, I know nothing about the series. I think I made it 100 pages into the first book. So,
Rachel, do you want to tell us what you've been reading?
Stuff.
Things.
Things. So last live show, I was talking about the Hat Shop mysteries that I was listening to on audiobook. I think I read like 3 more of those. They started to get a little bit, let's just say there was some interesting gender dynamics going on. So I kind of quit after book 5, but yeah, lots of hats and lots of dead bodies as well. I need to find another like cozy mystery series to try out now. I might go back to the Hat Shop mysteries at some point, but I really needed a break after reading 5 of them in a row. Like,
so one I've been reading recently that I really enjoy, I don't know if you would necessarily like it, is the Tita Rosie's Kitchen mystery series by Mia P. Manansala.
I think the library has those.
They're good. The first one's Arsenic and Adobo.
Yeah.
They're less twee than some cozy mysteries can be. And I'm sorry if you can hear Luke going ham on one of his toys in the background.
I will be right back. I'm still listening in. Just don't think I've left.
So yeah, I think I will have to check out that series, Die, because food.
You will be so hungry for Filipino food.
Which I cannot get from a restaurant here, so I might have to make it myself. Oops. What else? So I did do a little bit of Hugo Award reading. I read The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, which we haven't all discussed in our group yet, but I did read that. I finished it in Finland, so Rhea has my copy, and it was okay. Not my favorite by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And I also read Ogres by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Has anybody else read this one yet?
I have not.
I did read Children of Time, though.
I love
I won't be able to read the second book because they're not in the voter packet, and my library only has one copy of the second book for like the whole New York Public Library system, and it's got like 30 holds on it.
I don't know. Anyway, I didn't particularly like Ogres, which is not a huge surprise. I don't get along with pretty much any of Tchaikovsky's novellas except for Elder Race. So I was hoping this would be another like Elder Race, and no, it was very Jack and the Beanstalk, but make it revolution with genetics. Anyway, it's all in second person, and I hated that. I did not like it. And everyone's like, oh, there's a twist at the end. And I'm like, yeah, that was not a twist.
Wait, but is it actually a Jack and the Beanstalk retelling?
No, it's just more like, humans against ogres sort of thing.
If it were a surprise fairy tale retelling, I would be very intrigued.
It's not a fairy tale retelling, but it's the whole fee fi fo fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman, let's go roast up some humans, and yeah. Anyway. I did not like it. It wasn't bad, it just was not my thing. I feel like what Tchaikovsky does is he throws all of his more like bite-sized bizarre ideas into his novellas, and they're so all over the place for me. I just don't like them very much. So and now, continuing Hugo reading, I am reading the Terry Pratchett biography by Rob Wilkins, which is nominated in the Best Related Work category. I'm buddy reading this with Joe. I've just started it. I'm going to really enjoy this. It's not like...
So he asks if my mug is really that big or if it's just the angle on camera, and I don't know. I only know how big it is in my hand.
Judging by how big your hand is next to it, that is huge.
Yeah, hold it next to your face. I think that's a good, that's a big mug.
Yeah.
This is normal sized for how much tea I need to feel alive.
Ron has another mystery rec for you, the Thursday Murder Club series, but it's not really cozy. I haven't read it, so I can't judge for that. But and then Megan says Children of Ruin, which I think is book 2. Is
that's the one I can't get from my library.
I love that as well.
So we'll see. I mean, I have a hold. I'm the 32nd hold on the one copy, but I have serious doubts that it will ever come to me, given that I don't believe a library book in this city is capable of going through 32 people without being lost or stolen.
Is there no digital copy?
There is, but they used like 3 different digital ebook loan systems, and only one of them is compatible with Kindle, which is the only device I can really read an ebook on. So, and they don't have it on Overdrive. They only have it on their other ones.
I started buying the books. Like I pre-ordered the third one because my library would only get it if I requested. So they would buy a copy when I requested it. I would read it, and then it would immediately get stolen.
They have 28 copies, I think, of Children of Time, and like they are all checked out. Like, and there's holds on it. I couldn't renew it. There were holds on it. I had to read it as soon as I got it. And then Children of Ruin, they have one copy. I am so confused.
Yeah, that's really bizarre.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm reading the Terry Pratchett biography, which I did not know this until I read the introduction, but Rob Wilkins, the author, was Pratchett's personal assistant for like 15 years, and kind of worked with him on his novels during that time, like not writing them, but like kind of editing, cleaning up and stuff. So he was very involved in that process. And yes, there are footnotes. There are so many footnotes, and it's already funny. It's going to be great. And whenever I find the time, I will finish up Witch King by Martha Wells.
Oh, what are you thinking of it? How far
I like it. I've had it parked while I've been trying to finish some other things, but I keep thinking, I need to get back to that. Because I want to know more about these characters. So I'm still kind of in the dark about who everybody is and how they're related. But I like the main character, so. Oh, and I am 70% of the way through Babel.
What do you think of it?
It's not good that it took me about 9 months to get through the first 30% of this book. But once I finally got past 50% and some things sort of happen, I was like, I'm way more interested in listening to this audiobook for more than 30 minutes at a time. So I like the idea of this book. I like just the whole thing overall. I'm not in love with the pace, and I'm not in love with the characterization. And I think some other people have commented on that too, that the characters are a little bit flat. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to end up.
I really loved Babel, but I can understand like why the characters are something that folks have.
I think something about this book that, like I said, I'm only 70% of the way through it, and things have just happened where I went, oh, this is the historical event this book is attached to. But I get the feeling that it's not going to be alternate history, and I would like it to be. I would like historical events to really take a different turn, because it is a world with magic. It is, not our history, actually. I feel kind of meh that the magic is almost more of a stand-in for technology in the Industrial Revolution rather than something else entirely to change, the balance of things. Because I'm like, well, what is the point of having this magic? I mean, it lets us make the story be about translators and languages, but if it's just going to replace technology within historical events, then it becomes predictable.
Then why would you not just write a story about technology?
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess I haven't read that much by R.F. Kuang, but I get the feeling that a lot of her stories are kind of based on almost like retellings, like fictional retellings of real history and events, like her first trilogy, very, very much based on real events, real war.
But it was set in like an actual fantasy world, like very.
Yeah, I have this feeling. It's like, well, like, is there any real world building here? Or are you just tweaking reality so that you don't have to be strictly bound by writing a historical, like, nonfiction book? I don't know. I didn't mean for that to be a little bit of a rant, but I've been puzzling over this.
I'm very curious now because, I mean, obviously I will read Babel at some point. I haven't yet. But I have like very strong personal opinions about what type of historical fantasies I like and don't like. And like, I do strongly prefer true alternate histories where the magic actually changes how things go.
I feel like a lot of people have kind of compared this book, maybe in its length and scope, to Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, even though it's an incredibly different feeling book. I can totally see why people make that comparison, especially in the early stages of this book. But in Jonathan Strange, you know, it was a history of how would England be different if magic existed? Like, things were actually different.
Right.
And in this case, it's you know, I feel like the point of the book is mainly like, hey, colonialism is bad. Everything was super racist. All of our main characters are really struggling with that and being asked to, you know, help the British Empire further grind their native countries under the boot heel sort of thing. And they don't like that. Great, but it's like, we could go further. We could go further.
Is it the type of thing where like the magic is all like secret from the regular population and that's why it's not?
Yeah.
No, it's not secret. It's
something where not everyone has access to the training. And part of the reason that the Institute has people of color is because they found that for certain translations, you do need a native speaker to do them.
That's the key, is that in order to make the magic work, you must be fluent in multiple languages.
Okay.
And there is a level of secrecy in like most people don't really understand how it works or how.
But it's not like it's actually our world and we're just being told that like secretly there's magic.
No. The whole world knows about the silver working magic and it's a huge global trade, but yeah.
Interesting.
So basically the like facility Babel, the College of Babel at, oh my God, is it Oxford? Anyway, they have a stranglehold, like a monopoly on silver working because they're the center of creating linguists, basically. So it's a really cool idea, and I think like the parts of this book that I really enjoy are when it just goes full on geeky about translation and languages and everything, but it doesn't spend as much time just being in love with those things as I would like it to be. So. And yes, Ron, I feel like the footnotes in it are kind of, I don't know if it was an intentional homage to Jonathan Strange. I recall the footnotes in Jonathan Strange being almost like mini stories themselves. They were very lengthy and really provided other context. Whereas I think the footnotes in Babel, they're usually reserved to explain why something was racist or to provide a little bit more explanation about like linguistic things, especially like Chinese characters and stuff. I am listening to the audiobook though, so I'm not aware all the time of when the footnotes are. I know there's like a narrator switch, but it's, yeah.
I have a theory about who's doing the footnotes, but I'm going to wait till you get to the end of the book.
Okay. Is it more complicated? Like it's not just like the authorial voice coming through, it's part of the story? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
like
hoping...
I do have a theory about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not just RF Kuang like providing commentary. It is like somewhat it's more akin to like, you know, like when you get a Penguin Classic and they have the footnotes and they're like explaining certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how I interpreted it. It is a second person.
Interesting. So I hope that it continues to be good to the end, because I'm sort of on a roll with it now. It's become a lot more, I guess, fast-paced.
I guess, are you all done? Or?
I'm done.
Yeah, so I've been having like a pretty decent reading month. So some stuff that I will talk about. I did read Legends on Lattes and thought it was very mid and should not have been nominated for a Hugo. Like it was fine. I didn't find it very revolutionary. I actually found people who told me that it was found family. When I read it, I didn't really buy it. It was more like found coworkers.
Yes.
Like we don't, which like if you're going to be selling me something on found family, like there needs to be that family dynamic, not, oh, we are actually coworkers and we're just replicating a coffee shop, but not actually dealing with the fact that like it's dealing with capitalism. Like it felt very idealized in a way that didn't work for me.
It is. It's cozy.
I don't find it cozy. For me, cozy is like community building and like coming together and, you know, maybe challenging the status quo in a way like that helps your community. And this was just like fine. And I also had some issues where like and I know you have, like, I know this is something that we disagree on because we've talked about it in the chat, but like the whole Viv kind of whole scale importing gnomish coffee culture just felt weird to me. Like in a way that felt like very colonial. Like, oh, we're taking.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
But the text never engages with it. And I just found it like really frustrating.
On the other hand, I think you could argue that pre-colonial era, there was such a thing as, you know, importing goods from other places and selling it. So
I don't know. I found it fine. Like I didn't think it was awful, but it was like a 3-star at most for me.
Which I can
understand.
And it should not
have been nominated for a Hugo.
Totally
like I think there were better things that were doing much more interesting things that were published last year.
I definitely think the theme of this year's novel nominees for the Hugo Awards is like stuff that made people happy, not necessarily things that made people think hard.
Nona.
It's because the gays are determined to get at least one book on there.
Nona has turned my brain inside out, giving me dreams of dying in strange ways. Yeah.
Anyway, I did not particularly enjoy Legends on Lattes. I did also read all of the Scholomance series. I did not mean to read all of the Scholomance series.
I will never read them.
Really?
I want to hear about them.
I did not mean to. So I only meant to read one because I was doing the 12 books recommended by 12 friends, and
who recommended this to you?
Adri. This was more of her. This is more on the scale of like my sister recommending me ACOTAR because she knew I hate it. This was Adri just kind of being a little shit, but affectionate. Adri, if you're watching, I love you. But yeah, so I listened to it and I did find it very, like it was another like 3.25 for me. Like I thought that the first book was like very info dumpy. I think that in terms of Elle being a biracial character of Indian descent, like I think Novik needed to ask, like, am I the person who should be writing this, or like what do I bring to this? Because I do think that there potentially, like, there were some issues that were discussed when the book came out. But I did like Elle as a character. I like how grumpy and angry she is. And then the last line of the book was like, okay, like, well played, Novik. I want to read book 2 and figure out what the fuck you were talking about. And I read book 2 and I thought book 2 was better. Like, it's still info dumpy and it had the opposite, like, whereas A Deadly Education takes place over the period of like maybe a month or two, The Last Graduate takes place over Elle's entire senior year. So there's a lot of things that kind of get blown past. So it, like, for me, that was kind of a problem where there were certain, like, there were times that certain characters didn't feel like they were getting developed, which, or like certain events weren't like really talked about, or like given enough depth. But again, the last fucking line of the book made me immediately check out book 3, which I did enjoy more. Like, I think book 3 is definitely the strongest of the book. And I think in terms of the story that Novik was trying to tell, because I think, yeah, you can see kind of the Harry Potter inspiration, but I think the work that she's more having a dialogue, and there's a Tor.com article or column about this, is Le Guin's The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas.
Oh, really?
And I can't say more like on here because of massive spoilers. I might think I might do like a full series review, but I think in terms of like what she's talking about, it's more about like capitalism and structural inequality and what does change look like, and how do you do the work without burning out, or like how do you bring in others to support you doing the work. It's kind of a theme as the series goes on. So yeah, I think book 3 was my favorite. Like, I would give that one like 4.25 stars. I did have some issues with some queer representation that happens in there, which again, it's spoilery, so I don't want to like super talk about it on stream. But yeah, I have thoughts about it. But yeah, so overall, like book 1 was a 3, or like a 3.25. Book 2 was a 3.5, and then book 3 was like a 4 or 4.25.
Well, that's good.
I don't think they're YA though. Like, I will fight Naomi Novik in the street for that. About
you
that.
Didn't change your mind by reading them and learning that, oh, this is so YA?
No, it did not feel YA. Like, I can see teens liking the book. Like, I think there is stuff that will appeal to them, but especially in book 1, it's much more interior focused than I find. Like, I find that with YA, there's much more like dialogue and interplay between characters, and it's not so like introspective in the way that I thought A Deadly Education was. And also yeah. Anyway, I don't think it's YA. I will fist fight Naomi Novik in the street. So I read that. Let's see, what else did I read that I want to talk about? I read Chaos Vector by Megan O'Keefe. It's the second book in a sci-fi trilogy. And the first half, I like had problems staying engaged, but the second half really picked up for me. And I'm getting I'm getting like 6 vibes from BSG with one of the characters. Like, really? I can 100% see Trisha Helfer playing her.
Is that the sequel to Velocity Weapon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not really like the beginning chapters of Velocity Weapon, which is why I didn't finish it, but I think you liked it, and I think Joe also quite liked it, so I feel like I should come back to that series or something.
Yeah, and I think, so for me, one of the issues I had, particularly with the beginning of Chaos Vector, is that you do have, like, the chapters are quite short and they switch POVs. And I think that, like, relatively frequently. So I think that kind of made it difficult for me to engage, because I felt like as soon as I was getting comfortable with one person, it would switch to another person. But like, once you hit like the 40 or 50% mark, it starts being very focused on like not as many points of view, which helped me. yeah, Joe says that he likes the trilogy.
Oh wait, you've read the entire trilogy, Joe. It's a complete trilogy. Huh.
And Ramsey says, I think Rachel's critique on Babel is also relevant to Huang's book Yellowface, which doesn't go far enough.
I'm curious about this because I've actually been contemplating picking up Yellowface once I'm done with Babel. I don't think it's really a genre that I would typically pick up, but I'm curious to read something by Huang that it's not speculative, right? It's like contemporary.
Yeah, I think it's more like satire.
Yeah, I feel like this could be very different from the two things I've experienced by her so far. So.
All right. So do we want to talk about what we've been crafting?
I'm still working on the same dang skirt and its trim.
But you've made progress, right?
Yeah.
How many more live shows do you think it'll take you?
This should be the last one. There are some things I need to do to fix it up that I won't be able to do on the live stream. But in terms of the sewing on the trim, I've got a problem here that I might need to undo some of what I just did. But other than that, I'm getting very close to the end.
Oh, that's good.
Yay.
But then I need to figure out what to do with the waistband because I can't decide. Like I feel like I need some sort of trim to cover up the box pleat here. But I also sort of want belt loops, so I don't really know what I'm doing. But I don't need to do that in order to start wearing it. Like, I can start wearing it as soon as the trim on the bottom is done.
Nice. Rachel, I see you're spinning.
I am. Okay, I'm about to go off the rails with an obsessive spiel about spindle spinning.
Do it.
So I have gone off the deep end into spindles. When I first got interested in spinning yarn, I tried to learn on your traditional drop spindle, and it did not go well. Oh my God. And I could not figure out why, so I just switched to my e-spinner and I learned how to use a treadle wheel. Oh, great. So fast forward 3 years later, and in the Yarny community, spindles have become a huge thing. Like everybody's talking about them. And so I found out everyone's like, yeah, if you just can't really get the hang of spindles, it's probably like too heavy. So I started looking into other kinds of spindles and supported spindles, guys. I mean, I've been doing this for less than a month. Oh my gosh, maybe like 3 weeks. And I already have 3 supported spindles and a 4th one is pre-ordered. So I'm just sitting here making yarn on a supported spindle. And you just twirl it with your finger. It's just so relaxing. So this is my my Russian style spindle, which I learned how to use like 2 days before I went to Finland. I packed this in my carry-on and just prayed that nobody at TSA would question why I had this like stabby piece of wood. They let me through.
It's wood, so
You could have hurt somebody with this. It's
absolutely could, but I don't know that they're trained to like go off on wood.
I guess. I mean, they also let me through with my very tiny, very sharp metal knitting needles, which I think is even more confusing. Although when I was coming back through Helsinki airport, it's the only time my carry-on has ever been flagged when they put it through the x-ray machine. Only they didn't talk to me about it. I stood there waiting for them to get to my carry-on to like unpack it or whatever. And after like waiting 10 minutes behind a bunch of people who just did not understand the concepts of liquids, this guy's just like, here, it's fine. What? I would like to know what the problem was. It wasn't the knitting needles, though, because Helsinki-Vantaa Airport actually has a statement on their website that knitting needles are allowed in your carry-on. Anyway, I took this to Finland, whereupon I found out that there really isn't any spinning fiber in all like the craft stores there, like in the areas I was in. I asked both Rhea and Maya about it, and they asked people at the stores, and everyone was like, yeah, you just have to buy that online. So I ended up getting some roving yarn at a yarn outlet, and it's worked quite well. I'm trying to get to the halfway point on it today and spend my long practice project. I've got like 200 grams of this, so I'll get like 2 large skeins of finished yarn out of this project.
Nice.
So, and then, yeah, so last week I had a bad Monday, and I used it as an excuse to order 2 more spindles, and these are really beautiful. They're so pretty. Wow. This one is from Mirkwood Fiber Arts. It's a very modern spindle. It's got a ball bearing on the bottom of it, like high tech. So Mirkwood's thing is that like most of their spindles, their models are named after like Lord of the Rings characters. This one is Smaug. Okay. And then I got this, which is probably my favorite.
Oh, that base is pretty.
It's so pretty. It's even more beautiful in person. It's like really red and orange in person. And so this one is like a modern Tibetan style spindle with like the whorl at the bottom. And this is a pong, which is, I think it's a type of Indian spindle. I think that they're from Ladakh in India. Anyway, they're very curvy, and I love this, and I want like a million more of them. So this is what I've been doing for the past like 3 weeks, is just anytime that I am like standing around doing nothing or sitting in my armchair, I'm like, oh, it's time to get my supported spindle out. So yeah, I'm just making yarn.
Nice. I'm still working on the same shawl. It's getting big.
You're gonna win yarn chicken though. You're gonna win.
I am yarn chickening though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's getting big. This will probably live in my office once I'm done, because my office gets very cold.
You think you could finish it this weekend?
Probably not this week. This one I tend just to do in like fits and bursts because the rows are getting really long. And so I just tend to do it if I need something to do with my hands.
Oh, I didn't talk about my sweater though. I'm not working on it right now.
Is this the one with the homespun yarn?
No, this is my finished sweater. It's color work, which is why I'm not working on it for the live show. I don't want to deal with the chart while trying to talk to people, but I've just done enough of the color work you can start to see the pattern coming through.
Ooh, so, I love those colors.
Yeah. So the red yarn is 100% Finnish yarn. I picked this up at Snorre in Helsinki, which is like one of the best yarn stores I've ever been there. I am so jealous of anybody who can just like live within, 1 stop of the metro from Snorre. I went there twice and I spent a bunch of money both times. So I got a sweater's quantity of the red yarn. I got a green yarn to use for the color work, but when I got it home, I decided it just wouldn't be visible enough. There wasn't enough contrast. So I'm using some stash yarn instead, it's stash yarn, but it's very, very similar. And the pattern is Kulkainen Kaki. I think it means like golden bird or something, and it's from the Knitted Kalevala book that Rhea picked up when I was there. So we're both going to be making sweaters from that. And it's a really beautiful knitting book with all the designs based on the Kalevala.
Nice. All right. So are we all done talking books and crafts?
Yes.
If we
All right.
needed to like fill more time, I could talk about more books I've read recently, but
Well, I think Rachel, we were talking about this maybe being a shorter one because Rhea is not here. So if we want to talk about media, just a heads up, similar to last month, we will not be talking about struck work. So these are live action movies and TV shows due to writer's strike as well as the actor strike. Things that are currently on the table include video games, animation, which includes anime. So does anyone have anything related to that they'd like to talk about?
I wish that Rhea was here so we could just squee about My Perfect Marriage.
oh, I have been watching that too, but I
Are you caught up on it yet?
I mean, I'm caught up to where Netflix is.
Yeah, with episode 7.
I have mixed feelings because I feel like the characters are really two-dimensional, but it's doing tropes that I'm enjoying.
It is two-dimensional, but it's so sweet.
Right.
So
exactly. And it is a fantasy show, although it was hard to tell in episode 1, like for a while. It took a while to reveal that this is like an alternate history with magic. And I'm hoping that we get some more explanations.
I think
Is this an anime, K-drama?
This is anime.
It's an anime, and it is based on a manga series, right? Because I think it is. Anyway, basically, it feels kind of like Cinderella in a way.
Very, with the stepsister and stepmother, half sister and stepmother. And like my main gripe is just like the pettiness of those villain characters. Like when you make your like bad characters just like so cartoonishly bad that their evil plots don't make any sense. Like, why would you think?
I'm hoping there's going to be a little bit more. I want there to be a little bit more depth to that. And with things that have happened in the past 2 episodes, like episodes 6 and 7, I'm kind of wondering if there's going to be some sort of deeper thing going on that motivates people or something, especially where the main character's like family, like the mysterious side of her family is concerned. There's clearly like politics going back generations there. So I want to know. Also, they've introduced like an evil emperor character. Like that's such a trope, right?
Yeah. And like we definitely, there is definitely like backstory with her love interest dude that we don't know yet. Like what is going on with his absent father who is no longer the head of the family?
Yeah. That's
like
true.
Please tell me. Like part of my frustration with the main couple is just like that we know nothing about him personally. Like he's figured out all about her backstory, but we know nothing about like his personal life yet.
Yeah, but one of his relatives just showed up and I like her.
Yes, I like her too.
I'm like, just spill the beans on this guy. Yes, and thank you, Ramsey, for the correction. It's actually My Happy Marriage. I don't know why in my head I'm always calling it My Perfect Marriage.
Ramsey also wanted to know how we're finding Delicious in Dungeons. So I read volume 2 and I really liked it. I have volumes 3 and 4 checked out right now, but I haven't read them yet.
I
And
just
Rachel,
started volume 1.
Okay.
I just started volume 1. I've gotten so far into it that the dwarf character who knows all about the food has showed up. So
I love him. He's great.
I can't figure out where I put my box of pins. None of you saw where I put my box of pins, did you?
No.
No.
Hold on, it might be behind the computer. No. Darn.
Yeah, I will say in terms of like non-struck works, I've mostly been watching Padma Lakshmi's Taste the Nation, which I don't think I think it's technically a reality show. But also Women's World Cup just ended and the final really was colonizers are going to keep doing this.
Who
It was
won?
Spain. So Spain won, but it was Spain versus England.
Oh.
And someone tweeted out, it's like, the final is Spain, whose players are doing well in spite of their federation and coach. So like there's history between that. And if England wins, England will be happy. But yeah, Spain won. I'm happy for the players, but the coach is garbage and FIFA took it down, but there was a clip of like all the players celebrating and there's like a foot of distance between them and the coach. He's in the
they don't
middle.
like their coach?
They do not like, well, so backstory with Spain is their coach Jorge Vilda, a group of 15 players wrote a letter to the federation basically asking for him to be replaced because they're like, the training isn't good. He infantilizes us. He doesn't respect us as players. And he's still there. And so, a number of the players, including some of Spain's best players, weren't named to the World Cup team because they refused to like recant the letter.
Wow.
Yikes.
And there are clips throughout the World Cup of like players celebrating goals or celebrating wins, and they just straight up bypass him. Like, it is very clear that there is no love lost between them. And then today, when they're getting their medals, the head of the federation straight up like grabbed the captain, Jenni Hermoso, and kissed her on the lips.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Whoa. I hope she sues.
Anyway, so it's like, it's really complicated because like Spain has been doing really well at the youth level. And like, it's been apparent that they were building something in terms of like player development and like all of that. Like they've won 2 youth World Cups within the last few years, like at the U17 and the U20 level. Mm-hmm. However, like the federation and the federation's just really fucked the players over.
That is sad.
Yeah. But yeah, now I'm switching back into club soccer. NWSL started up again this weekend, so. That's mostly what I've been watching that isn't struck work. I did go whale watching last weekend, though.
I saw your picture. I was like, oh.
It was really fun. So I was in California last weekend, and in the summer in Monterey, there's a lot of humpbacks. And it was like what I wanted to do for my birthday. So we went, and it was so cool. We saw so many humpbacks. Like, there was a bunch of them feeding. We saw one in the distance breaching. There was also a bunch of sea lions and seabirds. It was really cool.
Nice.
So if you want me to talk about more books I've read recently, I can talk about more books I've read recently.
Do we want to maybe talk about like books that we're looking forward to? Because like I said,
yeah.
we can, I would honestly be okay with doing a shorter one just because I'm very tired. I like randomly woke up at 6 and couldn't fall asleep.
Yeah, C6 was about when I finished Nona the Ninth and got to fall asleep. Well, no,
yeah, so,
not that. It was like 4.
Yeah, Ramsey, I feel bad for the line. Like, I know I was joking about England being happy, but I do feel bad. Like, I do like a number of the players. Although I do have to say, like, y'all need to give Sweet Caroline back to the Red Sox. Like, I'm sorry, that is Boston's song. Yeah, so do we want to talk about stuff that's coming out soon? I know all of us have been talking about Thornhedge, which just came out. I think that's one that we're all looking forward to. One that I just pre-ordered because I got a lot of store credit for selling books yesterday. I pre-ordered The Water Outlaws by S.L. Wong.
Oh, yay.
So I'm mostly ordering based on the cover because I think the cover is really pretty, but it also sounds very interesting. And then I also pre-ordered City of Bones by Martha Wells because the re-release is coming out at the beginning of September.
Nice.
And then New York Day book is coming out September 5th, and I'm very excited, but also a little scared based off of the cliffhanger the last book left us at.
I don't have like a thrilling amount of anticipated releases for the rest of August and September. Let's see, what's the date for that?
The new Niveau comes out in September.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Also, I just found out that one of Nnedi Okorafor's older books is being re-released. I think it's been expanded to Shadow Speaker.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw the new cover.
It released, or a new version of it is being released by Daw in September, and apparently a sequel is also on the schedule for not too long after.
Right.
So I had no idea that was coming up. And I spent some time a couple days ago trying to actually find some new releases because I've been so out of the loop for a while. And this is quite looking into the future, but there's finally another white space novel by Elizabeth Bear announced. It's coming out early next year, I think, and I'm very excited because I love that science fiction world.
Ramsey, I also hate Sweet Caroline, but like it is a Boston song. Like, I say this with all the love in my heart for the massholes in my life. Like, it is a terrible song that belongs to Boston, not England.
Why did they use it as a sporting song?
Okay, so I know with Boston, I know they use it. So it's during the 7th inning stretch, that's when they play Sweet Caroline. And I think it's because the song is technically about Caroline Kennedy.
Okay.
That I'll need to ask my masshole friend who's like very into Boston sports about that. But I don't know why England glommed on to Sweet Caroline, but it annoys me.
Okay.
Let's see what else is. Is this coming out in August or October? Valerie Valdez has a new novel coming out.
Yeah,
it is April. It's coming out at the end of this month. It's called Where Peace is Lost.
Uh-huh.
And It's a space fantasy novel. I think it's a standalone too.
I would like that. This one I'll probably get from the library. I like listening to books on audio, and so I'm hoping to do that again with that.
Yeah, I think I requested the audiobook from the library for that. Let's see. What else is coming out? Oh, the next book in the Tita Rosie's mystery series is coming out in September as well, I believe.
I should see if my library has that series on audio.
I haven't listened to the audio, but in general, I really like that series. I like how the author plays with cozy mystery tropes, and particularly what she did in book 3 with the friendly cop character, and how she's kind of engaging with conversations that happened after the George Floyd murder and kind of the role of cops in mysteries.
I have a hold on the first book now, so
let me know how you like it.
I'll let you know if I like it on audio. I've been really enjoying mysteries on audio when I'm doing my weaving setup, because I don't have to pay that close attention.
Roshni Chokshi has a new middle grade coming out in September as well.
Oh, what's it called?
It's called The Sphere Glass. It's another Rick Riordan Presents book, and it's centered around Filipino folklore.
Interesting. Still on middle grade, but I'm assuming it's not. I just checked. Hachette still has September 10th as the date on their website for Silverborn, but there's the next Morgan Crow book, but there's no cover yet, so it cannot be.
I think
my guess is that's been delayed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm on Goodreads, and right now it says expected publication September 10th, 2024.
2024. Oh.
Isn't this the second time it's been delayed?
Okay, and both times it's been delayed a full year, because last time it was supposed to be October 2022, and then it got pushed to October 2023.
Yeah.
Now it's 2024. So they're just like changing the date by a year every time they have to delay it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense that they would want it like as a fall release.
Why?
Because it sounds kind of spooky.
Oh, well, there is that.
Another new, I got this one yesterday. Another new release I'm looking forward to reading is The Surviving Sky by Kritika Rao.
Let me know if you like it.
Oh, I'm curious about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been on my radar for a while, and I wanted to use up the last of my store credit, so I didn't have that temptation. So. Oh, I slammed the book down a little hard, and Leia woke up.
Just quiet, please.
Is there anything else coming out that folks are looking forward to?
The next episode of My Happy Marriage. It's been a really long time since I found a new series that I genuinely look forward to a new episode every week. I haven't done, I think the last one was The Expanse, but I knew I liked that series, so.
Yeah, I'm mostly waiting for Top Chef to come back. That's the main, or actually Great British Bake Off should be starting soon, and they finally got rid of Matt Berry, so I want to watch it again.
They got rid of who?
The bald annoying dude.
Oh, that guy. See, I haven't actually seen any of the seasons.
It's Matt Lucas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not like him. I found him to be very annoying, and I'm very glad that he's gone.
I still love the idea of Bake Off, but I just can't. After watching one season after the original people left, I was just like, I can't with these new people. I don't like them.
Ooh, that's interesting to hear about the couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched a couple of seasons with him in it, and I could not do it. Like I enjoyed Noel and Sandy. Like I thought she did a good job of tempering him and like being kind of like more of a straight man to his more wackiness. But Matt kind of fed into that and also brought his own like really gross history of like brown face and all that. And I've been thinking about watching like picking it up last season, but then I heard about Mexican Week and was like, nope, I don't need to see that hate crime.
I wish Bake Off was just like it was in the early days, where, you know, the controversies were things like somebody got frustrated and threw their dessert.
Dingate, yes. That,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's not the same, but I'm still I like seeing the bakers. Like that's mostly why I'm watching it.
I've been mostly filling that gap in my life from Bake Off with Time Team, especially because Time Team has been kind of brought back as a YouTube show. So
yes, I do enjoy Junior Bake Off.
Whoa, is this a kids version?
Yeah, and the hosts have like the perfect energy, or the judge, like the hosts and the judges have the perfect energy. It's Liam, and so he was a former contestant, and this woman Ravi who does cookbooks and stuff, and they're so good at like being really supportive of the kids, but like giving like really thoughtful critiques. And it's only 2 challenges per episode instead of 3.
Huh.
Yeah, it's really cute. I really like it.
Is this on Netflix? Should I be watching this?
Where's the Great British Sewing Bee streaming?
I want to see that. I've never been able to get hold of it. Like it's not streaming anywhere that I can watch it.
Yeah. The other thing I need to check is if HBO Max has the new season of Great Pottery Throwdown. Because that one is
going.
What?
How many seasons has the pottery one been going?
Oh God, like 5 or 6, I think.
Oh my God, I'm so behind.
But yeah, that's one I also really like. I think the judges do a really good job, and I really like, for the most part, like the challenges.
I think that the Sewing Bee is still not officially distributed to other markets. Like it's still only like UK only or something.
That's annoying.
On the other hand, I've been paying for a VPN for months now because of Chengdu, so
that is fair.
I wonder if I could get the BBC iPlayer to work then. I'll have to try that. I should get something out of this VPN that I've been paying for.
Can I do some gossip speculation about the Hugo Awards based on what's in the voter packet?
Yes, of course.
Go forth.
So I find it interesting that I think the only one of the best novel nominees that's available in Chinese in the voter packet is Kaiju Preservation Society. So that just informs my opinion of its chances of winning.
Could be.
What do because I had not thought that it could win at all, and I know other people think otherwise. But now I think it might win.
Look, at this point, I don't underestimate the fact that Scalzi is a Hugo darling, and there is a good chance he'll win.
Yeah, but Ursula Vernon is too.
Because I really want Nettle and Bone to win. Like, I want this to be the fairy tale year, but there is one book on this list that I love, and it's Nettle and Bone. And I would still like to believe that it's going to happen. But like I did not know that I assume that Kaiju Preservation Society, if it's available in Chinese, that means it was already translated, right?
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, it's a Scalzi novel. It was probably, didn't wait very long to be translated.
Right. And so if that is just like the one book that more of the voters can read, then that might mean it might win. That's just my thought of the hour.
I wouldn't be too surprised if a lot of the Chinese fandom were consuming a lot of stuff in English, though.
Maybe.
But when it comes to like the shorter fiction categories, I think that may matter a lot, actually, with a number of the nominees already being Chinese. So I have to say, I don't have a good feel for like what the major contenders are this year for best novel. In the past couple of years, it's been pretty much like, yeah, Arcady Martin is the safe choice here. Probably gonna happen. But this year, there isn't anything like super heavy hitting, especially a like heavy hitting sci-fi novel, which I would typically say would go down more with the Worldcon voters.
Right.
But I mean, there are two sci-fi novels. Well, is Nona sci-fi or is it science fantasy?
It's science fantasy. It's both.
Okay.
It's
So I get the feeling that like all the science fiction in this year's ballot is not your typical hard SF or
right.
big SF.
Kaiju Preservation Society is the closest.
It's the closest, but it's also a really fluffy pop novel that's, for laughs. And I say that lovingly because I did quite enjoy that book. If it came down to just like one really popular author being on the ballot, then I would say that would be them. But, I don't know who would win in a head-on battle between Ursula Vernon and John Scalzi at this point.
Well, and don't forget Mary Robinette Kowal. Like,
and Kowal, yeah.
Who I would consider.
Oh yeah, it's like another science fiction one. It's more of a
Oh,
retro sci-fi mystery in space.
But it's at least like recognizably pure science fiction in addition.
Yeah.
Like it's a science fiction spaceship setting.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I need to still buy my supporting membership.
Oh dear, did I not pin the rest of this? That's unfortunate.
Yeah, so do we have anything else that we want to chat about today, or do we want to wrap up?
I mean, I can chat about more of the Hugo reading I've been doing.
Joe, you have seen Great British Sewing Bee and you didn't tell me before? When did you watch this? How did you watch it? I mean, you're lucky. You're in the UK, so you don't have to use a VPN, but like, I wouldn't have guessed that you would watch that.
Anyways, I still haven't read the book in the Wayward Children series that's nominated this year, but I did read Across the Green Grass Field, so I'm getting there. My one like thought on Across the Green Grass Fields is that it's the first book in the series that has actually addressed something that I started thinking about like a few books prior, which is that the world building, like the sort of premise of the travel between worlds in this series is sort of based on the assumption that human children who go to other worlds are like heroes, destined to be heroes of some sort, which is like very clearly based in the history of the portal fantasy genre, but is also like when you make it like at scale part of your world building, when you have a series where kids go through like lots of portals, and the point is they are all heroes of some sort of the worlds they go to, it starts to feel like kind of, you know,
the natives
not exactly imperialist, colonialist, white saviorist, but yeah. And Across the Green Grass Fields is the first book, I think, in the series that like at least mildly acknowledges it, but it didn't do that well, I don't think. Because like she still saves the Hooflands.
I was disappointed in that one. I finished and was like, do I think I'm going to continue with this series? That was lackluster, and yeah. On the other hand, if the nominated one is in the voter packet, I might try to read it.
I think it is.
Not that I couldn't get it from the library. There's not usually a holds list for those, but
but yeah, I'd been wondering if the series was going to address that when I was reading the prior book, which was the one that came before
Come Tumbling Down.
Come Tumbling Down, yeah. And Across the Green Grass Fields did, but like just as a plot twist at the end, and like it made it that she was, you know, more like even more fitting to be a savior of the Hooflands because she had lived there and like loved it, and like I don't know, as opposed to like just coming in. Yeah,
I don't think this is not a spoiler, that's just part of the premise, but that's the one where the main character is intersex, right?
Right.
And that's my disappointment, when I felt like that was like really important in getting the story started, and then we did not talk about it anymore.
I mean, I almost felt like that was supposed to be the point, is that it shouldn't matter.
Well, yeah.
And so like she went to a world where it didn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
and she never had to deal with it again.
I feel like I kind of got lost though. I kept waiting for that to be clear or something, and it just didn't.
Yeah, it's a book that feels like it's an introduction to a character and not like a full story in and of itself, in that sense, in the sense that it's dealing with her actual character arc.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, and then I also read Seraphina because I'm trying to get all the way up to In the Serpent's Wake by actually reading all the books that come before it in the right order.
I love Seraphina. It's been a while since I've read it.
I understand so much more about the dragons now because Tess of the Road didn't explain anything about the dragons, and like they're not relevant in Tess of the Road extremely, but I was nevertheless confused, and now I've been unconfused.
I need to find the old covers because I really hate the new covers. The old covers had like kind of a woodblock style.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have non-matching editions of every one of the books in this greater series. I did not realize they had done this with the hardcovers of these two.
Yeah, I'm annoyed about that.
I thought Tess of the Road had like a John Jude Palancar illustrated cover at one point, or maybe I'm misremembering.
The covers art matches, but the size does not.
Yeah, the size doesn't.
Oh, I know what I was thinking of. I was thinking of a different author. Similar thing, but different book.
I am now distracted by my sewing. I've been distracted by the sewing this whole since I started.
I think an hour and a half is a good time to go with only 3 of us.
We have managed to waffle on for this long, so that's pretty good.
I only have this much sewing to go on one side of the trim. This much. I will finish it today.
Yes.
And then I made a mistake when I pinned this, and I didn't leave enough extra for the fact that it would get smushy as I sewed it, and I would need to have a little extra. So like I have this one bit where it doesn't meet up because I didn't leave enough, but I have like an iron-on patch material I'm going to use to just fix that up. Cool. And then I'll be done. And then
Could you be wearing it next live show?
Well, yeah, but you only see me from here.
That is the thought that counts. We don't have to see it.
Yes, I could be wearing it next live show.
The important thing is, do you have a hat that matches it?
Yeah, it's going to look great with my giant sun hat.
Okay.
Hat. My giant sun hat also looks great with this dress, but today is not a day. If I go out, I will wear the giant sun hat, not inside.
Elise says that the jumper in your background looks very pretty.
That's my shawl wall.
Shawl wall.
All right, so let's tell us where people can find you, Kelsey.
People can find me on YouTube, on TikTok, on Mastodon, still technically on Twitter X, but Twitter X no longer gets any like fun posts or cat photos from me. We didn't have a Jammy cameo. Where's Pajama Man? Hold on.
Emergency. Must have Jammy. Ava is inside with me. I was horrible and I made her come inside.
Oh, how dare you? Is
So-
it really smoky where you are? Oh, Jamie!
It's incredibly hot. We have a very serious heat advisory. Our heat index is like over 110 every day
Ew.
next week. And for some reason, my dog loves being outside when it's like 95 in the shade. I cannot get her to come in. I have to like go outside and pick her up and bring her inside. I'm like, you're gonna die. Like, no. So she very reluctantly came in, and now she's completely sacked out. She's just like, she's literally snoring underneath my desk right now.
Aw.
Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
So yes, Twitter is no longer blessed with Jammy photos because it doesn't deserve her. So if you want Jammy photos, you have to either be on the Stitch a Bitch live streams or on Mastodon. For now,
I should probably join Mastodon.
you do not need to if you don't want to.
Well, you know.
Are you on Blue Sky?
I am, yeah. So
I
people
want
are looking for
Hear
me.
what you think about it because
Yeah,
I'm
on
on the fence.
YouTube and Instagram. I am on Twitter, but I use it very, very little, mostly just to read what still remains in my feed. And I just recently got a Blue Sky account. I have the same username, Colonati, over there. So every week something new happens on Twitter and it makes me go, oh, is this the moment where I say, I got to get out of here? The recent maybe blocking will go away thing made me go, oh.
Right. The question for me is not like, I guess I'm not, all that I'm really posting to Twitter right now is just like automatic posts of like the Goodreads reading updates that it'll automatically post and like YouTube video posts. So it's just that right now. So don't follow me there for like other things.
Mm-hmm. So far, my experience with just following a couple of people on Blue Sky is that it feels very much like a Twitter circa 2 years ago, but with not enough people. And the interface isn't quite what I expect. I can never tell if I'm just seeing random stuff or like people I subscribe to. Anyway.
Anyways, I am done telling people where they can find me. Someone else needs to do their sign off.
Rachel, since you already started talking.
Had mine.
And you can find me at Bookish Die on YouTube, Blue Sky, and still Twitter because Blue Sky does not have a robust women's soccer presence.
But you might change that.
I don't think any of the teams that I follow are on there yet, so.
Any day now.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. Next month, I believe, Rachel, are we on your channel?
That's a great question. I don't remember.
Let me pull up our schedule. Yes, we are on your channel next month, Rachel.
Yeah, we are. Okay. Yes. We'll be on my channel next month.
All right. Well, have a good weekend, rest of your weekend, everyone, and we will see you later.
All right. Alrighty.
Bye.